Wigan Athletic have entered administration and are facing a 12-point deduction for doing so. But this is just the beginning. If Phil Hodgkinson, the Huddersfield owner, stated during the pandemic lockdown, like months ago, 2-3 months ago, that 50 to 60 clubs could go out of business by next season, if A, fans aren't allowed in attendance, and B, if there's any further delay to the start of next season alone, one club going into administration, that's going to be nothing. We've seen Macclesfield Town, how the situation has been handled by the EFL since December last year has been shambolic. The EFL should hang their heads in shame with their dealing with Macclesfield Town. Stevenage do have a right to appeal, their relegation. They do, even though they were the worst team on the field before the league was not voided but ended early. There were still games left to play, and Macclesfield Town had several points deductions up to that point. So that makes things interesting in the bottom of League 2 over relegation. Then you have the Bury situation in League 1 in August, and the EFL's handling of that complete shambles. And the fit and proper persons test is clearly not working. And the Hong Kong owners of Wigan have pulled funding. They are no longer interested in running the club, which they bought for a really, really good fee of only 20 million. Bearing in mind, this is a club that not long before it had won the FA Cup in 2013. Yes, we're going to hit hard times on the playing field and haven't quite translated that FA Cup success into staying in the Premier League and being a viable mid-table upwards Premier League team. But they won silverware not that long ago. And the question has to be asked of the EFL's directors and fit and proper persons test, because it's clearly not fit for purpose. Questions have to be asked why the PFA are continuing with their refusal to accept salary cuts and salary caps, which have to be brought in if clubs are to survive. We have no idea when fans are going to be allowed back into stadiums at all, and that would mean 50 to 60 clubs, according to Phil Hodgkinson, the Huddersfield owner, going out of business. We are going to see 10 to 15 clubs, is what's been reported on the BBC and Sky Sports, could be facing administration in the next couple of weeks. This is not just like one badly run club. This is the whole league system is on the verge of collapsing. The TV deal has been proven that free-to-air works. Fans want free-to-air TV. Sky have realised we have a large free-to-air and subscription TV network. We'll put a percentage of our games on free-to-air, and their viewership figures have been good. BT refusing. So the TV deal needs to be looked at about accessibility for fans. Ticket prices need to be looked at for accessibility for fans, because League 1 and League 2 are heavily reliant on fans in attendance. The National League heavily reliant on fans in attendance. The TV deal as it currently stands is skewed horribly, and skewed really horribly towards the Premier League, in a sense that pre-92, what is now the Premier League, the top division, got 50% or so of the TV rights, and then the TV rights were actually pretty equally distributed between the other three professional leagues. That's not the case anymore. There's the threat of a breakaway Premier League 2, because there are many championship clubs that are not happy with the EFL's TV deal that they've signed. So with Wigan facing a 12-point deduction over entering administration, it is the tip of the iceberg. The EFL as an organisation is flawed. Look at the Bury situation last year, when times were good and fans were allowed in stadiums. This is pre-pandemic. So a year ago, the handling of the Bury situation was a shambles. This was a team that got promoted from League 2 as champions and went bust within 3 months. Look at the handling of the Bolton Wanderers situation and how ad hoc and shambolic that was. And now look at the Macclesfield situation and the Wigan situation, and you have to go and look at this and go, is the EFL as a governing body of the Championship, League 1 and League 2 a fit organisation to be in charge of governance? Why are these clubs being allowed to be so badly run? Because Wigan was only sold to its current owners 2 years ago by Dave Whelan for 20 million. 20 million quid for a trophy winning recently with the FA Cup football club. And yes, they are still receiving some parachute payments from the Premier League and the Championship for the relegations that they suffered in that time. Where has that money gone? And why is it that at any time the owners go, oh, we don't want to fund this anymore? They can just walk away. without finding a suitable buyer. And yes, the pandemic and it has something to do with it, and the fact that League One and League Two clubs are saying we will not survive without fans in attendance because the TV deal is shit tells you all you need to know about the EFL and its dealings. The Premier League is meant to be paying a proportion of money to the British government, haven't done so. Football governance is broken, absolutely broken. And with all these Premier League players refusing to take wage cuts and wage deferrals, and the PFA stubbornly refusing to accept salary caps going forward, these players are out of a job. Either they take the salary cap and wage reductions, or their employers, the clubs, go out of business. We've seen clubs being forced to furlough non-playing staff. We have seen the Birmingham City players take a lead with agreeing to 50% wage cuts long before any Premier League club did so. The PFA advising its members not to enter negotiations separately with their clubs over wage deferrals or wage cuts. It doesn't show the players in a good light. It doesn't show the clubs in a good light either, those clubs that can afford to pay non-playing staff, that can afford to pay the players. But those clubs that can't, because of the TV deal and reliance on fans, those clubs on smaller budgets are going to go to the wall. Wigan will not be the last. There will be a hatful of clubs in the coming weeks to go down this route, because the Premier League, the EFL and the FA are gutless, clueless organisations that have allowed poor financial management for decades to take place, poor ownership for decades to take place, yet they have the cheek sort of to try and drag out the Newcastle takeover. Drag it out. But then they allow these Hong Kong businessmen to buy Wigan for pennies in comparison, and then just walk away from the club when they feel like it. Come on, it's a mess, absolute mess, and I don't see an end in sight. Because if the PFA are insistent on not accepting wage reductions or salary cuts or a salary cap in any way, those players will be out of a job within weeks. These pampered prima donna players, which a lot of them are, who don't live in the real world, will suddenly know what it's like to have to sign on down the job centre, because they're going to have to take a salary cap in order for the sport to survive. But I'm going to leave that there. What do you do? Wigan is the tip of the iceberg. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts below, and I'll have some more videos for you very, very soon.